Okay.
All right, it's 10 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm going to restate the agenda. We'll call for public input on non-agenda items. We have the consent agenda, which includes minutes and approval of checks totaling $266,330 and change. On unfinished business, we have an update on facilities and lands. And item B would be the fire chief selection process. New business, we'll discuss the farmers market review and inspection fees, trim rate, and also setting our date and time for a tentative budget hearing. Fire chief remarks, attorney report, commissioner remarks, and then we will adjourn. Any changes to the agenda as listed? Seeing none. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, at this time, we'll call for public input on non-agenda items. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt consent agenda items?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Unfinished business, update on facilities and lands. Chief?
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, not a whole lot since the last meeting to update you on. We are still moving forward with the town. The town should have their appraisals on both town hall property and our property in the coming weeks. And we will be sitting down and talking about it. So by next meeting, I expect to have a pretty concrete understanding of where we're at and the nuances, if we're going to be able to work out a trade with the town and have some values on each of the properties. I will update you that on our property, because we reassessed that appraisal from when we first had it done in March. Our March appraisal was 16.9 million. Our current appraisal is 12.67. So the appraiser, same appraiser, all factors being the same, did state that not a whole lot of sales yet to work off of, and more stuff is coming on the market. So those were some of the factors driving the change in numbers. So also on the lands, we have worked since last meeting with Mr. Salzman and making sure that we have a path forward for liquidating property when we get to that point. So I'm going to let him talk about that a little bit, kind of what our plan is on that part of it.
Okay.
Our requirement is to obviously get the highest and best bid. And doing that, we also have to make sure the process is competitive. There's not a specific requirement for us as a district, but there are requirements under statute for counties to do this, municipalities. So we'll follow those general requirements. Basically, advertisement in the newspaper, general circulation, so our newspaper at least on 2 occasions to request the proposals. What we'll probably do is, under the language, is just have them give us the best proposal. We'll look at, when we open them up, we'll look at it, we'll look at the amounts, and then look at how the payments are going to be made. So you can justify that. So that'll be the process that we'll look at.
Okay. What's the timeline on that, sir, in general, once we advertise to receive bids?
I think we would do 2 advertisements, so we could do it in probably 30 days.
Okay.
From when we start.
Right.
Yeah, 30 to 45.
All right, great, thank you.
And that's on the advertising portion.
On the advertising, because we put the date, and we can open them, after the second date has been published in reasonable time. And we could go, that doesn't stop us from having other maybe agents go out and looking for people, because it's a unique thing to do. And I don't know how many of us look at the newspaper and go, oh, look, there's property for sale. So you got to have to look for the particular type of buyer.
Right.
And so my plan on that process also is that we do have a certain amount of time that an agent or somebody can market it so that, we get the word out that it's available and we can bring as many offers as possible.
Sure. Discussion, any questions?
Nope.
Jackie? Hearing none. All right, item B, under unfinished business, fire chief selection process. All right, I believe we've all had an opportunity to sit down with Chief Worth, who was our one internal candidate, and do some one-on-one time, get some questions and feelings for his thoughts on the district and its future. Would anybody like to open the discussion? And
I met with Chief Worth, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. I think Scott is an excellent candidate, and I endorse his selection.
Likewise, I met with the chief. We discussed a wide range of things, from personal to professional, because you're looking not just for someone who has the skills and abilities to perform the task, but someone we think is going to be the right person in a long term to fit in to the role that we need to be fulfilled here. But like Ron, I was impressed with my experience, and I would endorse moving forward to select Chief Wood.
okay. Larry?
I like the fact that Scott has experience negotiating collective bargaining agreements from both sides of the table, as a firefighter and then also as an administrator. So like that, he seems to deal well or effectively with personnel issues. And also he's been directly involved in the purchase of the land, the design of the new station and the new headquarters. And I'm amazed how he can use the, I don't know, that's a CAD cam or whatever, to design those things. He's just has a calm demeanor and always seems to think before he talks. And I just like his everything about him. So I'm certainly supporting him.
Commissioner Lezak, are you still with us? Looks like we've lost her. I as well had an opportunity to meet with Scott recently and over the past several months since we've been in the interim with our chief, and probably spent more time than the rest of the board one-on-one. I've always been impressed with his professionalism on the job, his approach, and even more so in the last several months, stepping up to the plate and filling the role, kind of in an emergent situation that was not planned by the district. So at this time, I'd make a motion that we authorize Attorney Salzman to negotiate a contract for hire for Chief Worth as the district chief.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll note that Commissioner Lezak is not in communications.
I know you're done, but she
Okay.
just
Did she?
logged back in, so I think she might have had connectivity issues. So
What we will do
Thank
is,
you.
we will take basically the contract we've used the last couple of times. We'll tweak it and bring it back to you for approval.
Okay. Great. Jackie, did you catch the motion and vote? All right, Chief, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look forward to getting a contract you can be happy with.
I appreciate the opportunity and each of you for your confidence in me. So, thank you.
All right, new business. Farmers market review and inspection fees. Ms. Miller.
Do you all need another copy of this?
Yeah.
Everybody's got one with them right now? That's the
Yeah.
survey?
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would take that. Thank you.
again, my name is Linda Miller, and I'm the market manager for the farmers markets. We manage a lot of markets all the way from South Collier to Cape Coral, and we've been managing markets on Fort Myers Beach since 2015 for 8 years until Ian happened. And running these Fort Myers Beach farmers markets, we have never been a problem with the fire department, never had a safety incident, always followed our permits and always paid our permits. Recently, our fire permit rates have yo-yoed back and forth, signaling an internal problem. For a long time, they were $35, and that's just a portion of the fees we pay. We also pay quite a hefty fee to the town for our permits for our farmers markets. I run two, so whatever numbers I'm throwing at you, double that. Then the fees went from 35 to 50, then to 100, then down to 50, and then last year the rate jumped to $900. And Chief Martin, I brought it up to him, and he lowered it down to 200, setting a precedent. But then this year it jumped to $1,350 for one walking, plus double inspection fees on site at a minimum of $246 for a 2-hour minimum. And I was told repeatedly by staff that they have the right to inspect weekly every time we set up at that rate. So that kind of rate could easily total $10,000 or more in a year for one market. And farmers markets just aren't cut out for that kind of rate or fee. When I asked why those charges happened, and I could never get a straight answer. Sometimes it was the board did it, and we follow what the board does, and sometimes I get a shoulder shrug and never get a straight answer of why these fees were raised so high. In our last meeting, I pointed out to you in your budget that you said that the permit fees are to offset taxpayer burdens, not to generate income. Well, clearly, when we're not imposing costs on you all, and we're not calling you every 5 minutes with a safety emergency or having fires, we're not incurring any costs on the fire department. So one problem is that this is subjective. So year to year, the rates keep changing based on whoever's looking at it or however they're feeling. There's no set way that the fee schedule is being looked at. That's why I asked you in the last meeting if you could please delineate farmers markets, pull them out of the hodgepodge, because year to year we're getting reclassified. So from Chief Martin to Chief Worth, we've gone from type 3 class C to now we're type 4 class D, and we're the same event, same number of vendors, etc. I've also been told, well, you've got fire truck, you've got food trucks, and you've got generators. Well, we've always had that, as do all the other farmers markets in the area. So I approached Chief Worth two of your board meetings ago back in May, and to give him the opportunity to look at this, because having run markets from Marco Island all the way up to Cape Coral, personally I have a lot of experience working with other fire departments, and none of them, except for Naples, none of them charge a fee, and none of them in Lee County charge a fee. And 3 of the fire districts, actually 2 of them, San Carlos and Captiva, actually are contracted with you all to do their fire plan reviews. And those fire plan reviews are $102 versus the $450 you charge local FMB, Fort Myers Beach event planners. And that's a huge disparity, and it's unfair. And not only that, but that $102 hasn't been charged in the last 4 years. So for instance, Captiva had a farmer's market there, not including this past year because of Ian, but the past 4 years, they've had a farmer's market on Captiva Island, and there's never been a fire plan review done for it, and they've never been charged for it. And San Carlos Park has monthly events for San Carlos Fire District. They've never had a fire plan review, and additionally, that fire chief says, well, I don't really care what they charge for the fire plan review, it is $102, but I don't care what they charge because that money goes right to Fort Myers Beach Fire District. But it's not happening. So I would like to see consistency. First of all, I would like to see straight across the board. You be consistent with your peers and not have a fire plan review fee for me or for farmers markets, because there aren't any for anybody else in Lee County. And I don't want inspection fees because as the Sanibel fire chief said, it's part of the job. And I would also like to see that if you have a weekend event, that you have your safety people, your life and safety people trained to do inspections, so that you're not charging people overtime of $246 for 2 hours to do inspections. And you all know, you can stay there as long as you want. Your fire fee schedule says you could stay there, for additional $60 an hour. So that fee could go up if you guys so determine that you need to stay there all day long. That's completely subjective. And I just can't plan my budget and charge my vendors accordingly. And that brings up another subject. When I set my fees for the year, I look at my competitors and I say, can I charge more? Should I charge less? What is the going rate? And I do my homework, and so I can be a fair person and charge fairly across the board and be in line, because I don't want to charge so much more that I throw people out of my market. And I don't want to undercharge where I'm getting, not the best quality vendors. So there's a fine line there, but I think that the fire department needs to do their homework. So I asked Chief Worth 2 months ago, listen, this isn't right, because Estero doesn't charge. And I followed up 5 days later and handed him a letter in this meeting 2 months ago. And I said, I want to give you a chance to look at this, because I do farmers markets in other areas and nobody else charges. And I'm being earnest. I'm not trying to slide out of something that you guys deserve. I pay landlords. I pay what things are worth. So I gave him a chance, and he came back with a sheet of paper that his staff did, the unnamed staff, and it had $16,000 worth of errors. It said that Captiva charges $5,300. Well, come to find out, and I sent this letter off 5 days ago to Chief Worth and didn't hear back. But five days ago, I looked at the letter that I was given on July 10th by staff, and the second page of the letter shows that Captiva was asked, for an event that has 457 participants. Well, my God, I don't have 457 participants. And yes, that was a typo, probably a typo, but nobody caught it, and except for me, because I called Captiva and I talked to Chief Powell and I said, dude, what's going on? I know you don't charge for those farmers markets out there. What's going on? And we talked a little bit, and he goes, well, this isn't how your event was described to me. Now, I don't know what, at that point, at that phone call, I had no idea what he was talking about. But when I read Christina's letter saying to him, there's 450 participants, and it's going to be a weekend event, which sounds to him like a Saturday and a Sunday event. We aren't that. We applied for a Saturday event with 45 participants or 49 participants. So you can see how he was like, well, yeah, maybe we would charge $300 every weekend. Well, he comes back to me and he says, no, we would charge $100, or maybe if it required a reinspection, maybe $200 for the entire year. And then we would let you alone, because then we knew that we had looked at it, and we knew you passed. Well, just so you know, in your history for the past 8 years, you all come out the first day of the market, and you inspect, and you look at the fire extinguishers, and I try to tag along, I try to participate, and you know, it all works out. We've always worked with you guys. And I love my fire department, you know, I love working with you guys. I have a great history of working with you guys, but this is kind of crazy here. So I'm gonna bring up one other thing. Sorry, it's allergies. Once again, my farmers markets on Fort Myers Beach are the only ones being charged in the area. Many chiefs I spoke to consider this to be part of the job. We are a small daytime event with no alcohol, no fireworks. We're just a very small event, and I charge very low rates, and I have very high advertising rates. So I'm not built like a sponsored program. I don't clear hundreds of thousands of dollars like Roar Offshore. Okay, I just simply can't, and I was told by your staff, well, we get $26,000 for those events. I can't do it. I can't do $10,000 a year. I can't even have that threat over my head. I'm trying to help rebuild the lives of my vendors that lost 90% of their income. We had markets here 4 days a week last year. They lost 90% of their income. I lost 90% of my income. I can't even help the church. I can't even help Beach Baptist anymore, like I used to help them. Okay? So we just can't, we're helping build the community. I don't know if you realize this, but when we took over Santini Farmers Market in 2017, there were tenants that were going to close their doors because they just simply didn't have the business. But when we brought the farmers market back, their business popped. And 2 of the tenants became vendors. They have been vendors there every year. It was Frankie's from Francesco's Pizza and Island Jewel, Maria Carlini. And they actually made their rent at that market. They could pay their rent to the landlord via that market. They also, all of them said that they had an increase in business. The CVS and the 7-Eleven talked about how Tuesday was big business day. You know, they had to staff people. What we do is we bring commerce to the locals. We don't just feed off your local people. We bring commerce. There is so much advertising. We have 60,000 views per month on Google, and that is advertising to bring people and commerce to Fort Myers Beach. So we're a good thing. And this area, this is going to be a strong sell for me, a hard sell for me to get vendors out here. Probably going to have to lower the rate from what it was. You know, I'm not sure exactly how. This is a tenuous situation. We don't have the timeshare people back like we used to. I'm hoping we can reopen all those condos on the south end. And obviously on the north end, we've lost a lot of hotels. So this is a good faith effort for us to bring commerce and attention back to Fort Myers Beach with our farmers markets. So I'm gonna also say that Chief Ward pulled my permits, and in this county and also in Naples, he pulled my receipts, and he couldn't show me any receipts that for any other farmers market for fire plant review fees. Additionally, in my speaking with these other fire chiefs, several noted to me that they don't do inspections of farmers markets because of Florida statute 633.202.17, which says tents under 900 square feet are not subject to inspection. So Bonita Springs and Estero do not even do fire inspections because it's not according to the fire code. And I want to follow up with one little topic. This is a little story because I've asked for staff to put yourself in my shoes. You could have a $35 copay on your insurance, and all of a sudden it got raised to $950. How would that feel to you? So it kind of went flat. No one resonated with that example. So if you guys don't have copays on your insurance with your fire plan insurance, but I'm gonna put it to you this way. I'm gonna ask you to imagine for a second, you're a Costco member. And I'm doing this because I think most everyone is a Costco member. And you're used to filling up your gas tank to go to work for $35. And suddenly it jumps to 50, then to 100, then it goes down to 50. And then the next time you go in, it's $950 for no reason. And you talk to the manager and he lowers it to 110, which is still a net increase. It's still, you know, double what you paid the year before. But he says, I did my job, I lowered it for you. And he does have, but he also tells you he has the ability to charge a weekly service charge for just driving on his property. Okay? But you need the gas to go to work. So you shut up and you pay the 110, but the following year it jumps to $1,350 to fill up your gas tank. Okay? Again, for no reason. It's not better gas. It's not better service. You caused no damage. You incurred no costs. When asking the manager, he shrugs his shoulders, and then you find out you're the only one, the only gas customer in Costco that's paying that $13.50. Okay? You're the only one who's charging this extra money to. But to be consistent, he should charge everybody or not charge you. Your neighbors won't complain out of fear. Okay? They're afraid of cost of retribution. He agrees to take off the $900, but charge weekly service charges up to $10,000 more a year. Okay? But he tells everyone he lowered the price. So this is my example to you to let you know it's just not fair that I'm the only farmer's market in Lee County that's getting charged. You can see by the sheet I've given you, I've talked with all these people. In the 50-page packet I gave you, I'm telling you, I didn't give you a 50-page packet because I wanted to sue you, all right? And that's not it at all. I gave you a 50-page packet full of documentation because I've been ridiculed and I've been told that I've been lying about Chief Powell. And maybe not the word lie, but that I'm incorrect. And I gave you proof. I gave you proof. So that at any moment you could ask a question and there was the proof right there. So you can see that from this, that the 5 blue stars are the ones that you all did a survey on. And while Fort Myers, the town of Fort Myers, previously worked with Chief Word and Jennifer Campbell, they still don't charge farmers markets. It's just, this right here is the only thing that comes close is Greater Naples, and they charge about $100 to $150 for an inspection and $250 per year. And they inspect it once, and then they're done. And Chief Rogers, who was here last board meeting, Chief Rogers from South Trail, he approached me and I asked him, because you all are adopting, or he's adopting your fee schedule. I said, you've got farmers market at Lakes Park in your district. Are you going to charge for this? Oh, no. Have you ever charged? No. You know you got fire trucks out, you got food trucks out there now. You got 3 food trucks at your farmers market right now. And he's like, oh no, we leave them alone. We don't go, quote unquote, we don't go looking for trouble. Okay, they've never been a problem, quote unquote. We don't go looking for trouble. So I'm not sure why the motivation is to hit a farmer's market. I understand other event planners. Here's the situation. If you go through with your $950 and your $450 plan review and your $246 a trip inspection fees, you keep going through that, and I've already seen it start to happen, people won't file permits. I'm not saying I'm not that person, but I've already seen another person out here throwing events. They're not going to fill a permit out. You're not going to get anything. And it's a safety problem because now you don't even know about it. You don't know about it. So you want people to fill out the permit forms. You want them to do that. And then, if they're just dead wrong on something, then fine them. You know, if you want to charge a vendor a fine $50, that's how it used to be. You said you would charge vendor $50 to do an inspection of their propane or whatever, once a year. That's fine, do that. It's better that that person incur the cost than $1,350 or $10,000 a year. Just do that. But right now, you've got an event planner out there, maybe more than one, that's scheduling a 2-day event on a weekend that you'll never know about because you don't have life safety trained to work that day. And they'll never have an inspection, you'll never get a fee, and they could have a fire problem. So that's all I have to say. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Commissioner Fleming, any questions?
This is a pretty complicated issue. If we were to vote right now, I'm not sure how I would. Fort Myers Beach is different. I'm currently being fined $250 a day by the town for spreading gravel under my house.
Spraying something?
Spreading. I hired people to cover up Ian talcum powder, because that's what it turns into. And I didn't know I needed a permit. But I'm being fined, it's up to about $2,500 now. Now, fortunately, I've been to the town, they're working with me, but every day I'm getting fined $250. Now, just because someone else doesn't charge for your events, doesn't mean that's right. That's why I said, this is complicated.
Well, what I'd like to say is that when you're the only one charging enormous fees, that's a problem. That's completely different. Because, like I said, for years, from 2015 till 2017, I paid my fees. You guys never heard a peep out of it because they were reasonable, But now we've gone beyond reason, And this isn't the gym of Southwest Florida anymore. Look behind you. You got a 30-foot pile of rubble. There's a 60-foot pile of rubble. This is not the gym that Naples is, that Naples can charge $200 or $150 for a tire plant review. And it doesn't take. So I was told by your staff that you have a part-timer that reviews the fire plant. Okay?
Ms. Miller, if I could stop you. We're not going to go back and forth all day long with the staff and our manpower. If they have a question, I'd appreciate it if you could just answer the question directly. We can move through the panel, then we'll have our discussion and hopefully a decision for you.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Nickel.
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Mr. Woods? No. Ms. Lezak, are you with us?
She's on.
I have a few questions for you.
I am, but my signal's going in and out really badly. So.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Miller?
Not that I add value to the group right now, just because I'm catching pieces, but I am listening.
Okay. Thank you. I just have some questions that I would appreciate some simplistic answers on. How many farmers are at your markets on the beach?
Farmers or vendors?
Farmers. You're calling them farmers markets, so
We don't know until we take our applications.
historically, how many have been farmers?
Um,
People who grow food
Two.
and bring it to sell,
2 or 3, but we're very small.
that actually plant
Yes.
from seed, and okay. Are you a for-profit organization?
We are, as a management company for Beach Baptist,
Okay.
we were a contract employee, so that was a nonprofit farmers.
But you're a for-profit group? You're not a nonprofit?
I'm a for-profit.
Okay.
But for Beach Baptist, I was not for-profit, I was a contract employee.
All right. Are you planning on eliminating your fees if we choose to eliminate your fees from the fire district? To your vendors?
No, as I explained earlier, we have excessive advertising fees, website fees, so it would not be a free market no. But because of the condition of Fort Myers Beach, it would probably be a reduced rate.
Okay. Are you a resident of the district, or do you own property or a business
I'm a
here?
taxpayer of Lee County.
Thank you. How many people attend these markets?
You know, we don't really know. If 300, 500, we don't know.
So the potential between 300 and 500 per day in a one location?
Yeah, they're probably 75 an hour.
Okay. And one last thing, according to your online profile, you oversee 300 people and have $100 million in yearly sales?
No, that was a previous job when I worked for a big box retailer.
That was under 41 Markets
No,
profile?
no, I was an employee. I was a retail management executive for Home Depot. I managed the second largest Home Depot in Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you.
And that was over eight salaried people and 310 associates, so that breakup was over.
Chief Worth, can you please review the offer given Ms. Miller on her inspection fees, as you discussed at the meeting with her a few weeks back?
Sure, thank you. So on July 10th, we met with Mr. Self, Ms. Miller, and went through her concerns. I did look, so to go back in bringing myself up to speed for this, I directed staff to reach out to the other districts and provide details. And that was a Saturday event, 40 vendors, and I think based on the application, it said 4 food tents and 3 generators. So those were the parameters that we were looking at, and received feedback from the other districts based on their fee schedules. Now, when Ms. Miller brought it forward, I did reach out and have discussions with those other districts, and they confirmed to a large degree they're not looking at these markets. So, and we had that conversation on the 10th, that I see their perspective, because if other districts aren't checking the markets, if they're not making sure the market is being set up to plan, fire lanes, extinguishers, and all the other life safety components, I could see how we feel like an outlier. So where we landed on the 10th when we finished that meeting was the permit, where it was originally for 52 weeks, has been revised down to 34 weeks or so, I'm estimating. And it's still on a Saturday, and it's going to initially be set up in Times Square. And with the contingency plan of a second site underneath the bridge if Times Square starts construction. So following trying to find some parity with what the other districts were doing, the offer was we will have our state certified inspectors come out on the first event and look at it, make sure it's being set up to plan. And when we talked about it on the 10th, they're absolutely right. Their experience here is that they're diligent. And we had those conversations. And what we offered to do was that I could have my battalion chief, who's on 24 hours a day, periodically check the events, and if there are any issues, provide them with the site plan. They are not certified to enforce code. If there's any issues, and when we were talking initially, I said they would, and I would have to use an inspector if I had to enforce a code. And Mr. Self said, would they come talk to me first? And then we talked about that and agreed that that made sense, that if there were any issues, and I believe he had said also that, when they see anybody official show up, they meet them and greet them. Is there anything we can do for you? So that interaction would naturally take place. I'm confident that they're going to set up each week. Their experience says they're going to set up each week, and they're going to adhere to their plan. And I think it would only be something egregious where we would have to send an inspector out on a weekend after that first time. So when we left that meeting, the final numbers were the $450 for the plan review for the 2 site plans, and then the $123 for the first 2 hours for an inspector. So a total of $573, and that was for the entirety of the year.
Thank you. Questions, discussion?
So that's $573 for the year,
Yes, sir.
for how many events? 30?
30 some odd.
34 events, 30, yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of numbers being thrown around, $16,000, $10,000. So you're saying that you've negotiated that $573, that's what they will pay, not per event or?
That's for the whole year.
For the whole year.
And it would be a very egregious situation where I'd have to bring an inspector out. Basically, they would refuse to address something that we see that's extreme.
So I guess I want to say, I think it's important that we continue to perform our duties as a fire district and ensure that this event and every event that occurs in our district is safe. I mean, many places ended up having disasters, life safety disasters, because their fire departments at the time were not particularly diligent about enforcing code, or the codes at the time were not particularly relevant. They didn't catch the issues that were occurring. The one that sticks in my mind is the Beverly Hills nightclub in Cincinnati. That was just a disaster, and many codes, many life safety codes evolved nationally because of those kinds of tragedies that occurred. So I think it's important that if fire districts are not doing that, I don't think that's an appropriate, I wouldn't want that. If I was a commissioner on their fire district, I would be speaking up and saying, that's not right. We should be paying attention and doing our due diligence at each one of these events to ensure that it's being conducted safely. I like the idea of allowing the battalion commander to stop by. If he sees something that looks out of line and he can address it at the time, fine. If he's not able to address it at the time, you get a hold of the life safety people and they're going to come out and do a formal inspection, and they're going to have to address the issue. I think it's very important that we not just turn our backs on this and say, oh, well. Because frankly, I think the farmers markets are a very important part of our community and culture. You know, we want people to get out. We want people to come out into our community. We want them to enjoy our community. But we have to make sure they're safe. I mean, that's our job, is to make sure that they can do that in a safe manner. So I like what you have done in terms of coming up with what I think sounds very reasonable to me, fees that would cover the year and the ability to do spot inspections from time to time at no additional cost to them unless there's a problem. So I like your plan, and I think I'm leaning that would be a good idea.
Jackie, are you with us?
She is not.
Is not, okay.
She's dropped off.
I feel the same as the other commissioners. You know, I appreciate the farmers markets. You know, we've always strived to become a best-in-class district for safety and protection of the public. Anytime you get more than 20 people gathered in one place, there's always a potential for a mass casualty. You know, it could be something as simple as somebody hit the gas instead of the brake, and that's happened in market scenarios in other states. You know, being right along Estero Boulevard, as distracted as drivers are anyway, you know, once you have a market up and around Times Square, you know, there's going to be obviously attention from people to see what's going on. I think our fees are fair. They're based on exacting numbers for our personnel cost. The fee schedule reflects a cost to the applicant of about 30%, and the taxpayers of the district bear the 70% remainder out of our property taxes. And that's not only the island, that's our off-island residents. I can't see, with all of us suffering our losses, the district, personally with our homes, our businesses, I can't see and justify giving away our taxpayers' money and say, no, there's no charge for something. I think it's more than fair. I think Chief Horst's done an outstanding job making a reasonable offer to reduce those fees. And I don't know, if we want to take a vote on this, but it's within his authority to negotiate those types of things. Unless we have a motion, I am not in favor of eliminating the fees. And I would anticipate next year there'll probably be an increase in fees just because of our tax base and you know, the impact we've suffered with the storm. I mean, it's we're a bruised district at the moment, and we all know that. And we're doing our best to get by with hiring freezes and overtime restrictions, and you know, we're really stretching the district thin as much as safely possible to accomplish our mission, which has always been the life and safety of the people here on the beach, whether they're a resident or a visitor. So unless somebody has a motion,
I don't have a motion, I just have another question.
go right ahead.
As Commissioner Wood had stated, I heard all kinds of numbers, tens of thousands, and now it's 500. So the yearly fee is, I believe you said $545?
So $450 is so at the highest level, a multi-day or a multi-location event is $450 for the plan review. The way this one is going, it was set under a multi-day event, and that's what drove the $450 rate. It is also, there's now, I believe, 2 site plans that are going to be submitted ultimately for review in case they have to go up underneath the bridge. So it's $450. The $123 is the lowest option I have in our schedule for an inspection, and it's an after hours. Now, I will say that Mrs. Miller, I believe, is looking at possibly moving to a weekday off of the Saturday. So we may even have more room to work on the inspection part of it.
Would these fees also extend to Taste of the Beach? I know they moved off island last year.
Yep.
They had been on San Carlos, old San Carlos. Would these fees be consistent, or is that totally different?
Yeah, so right now with the way the fee schedule is set up, again, it's a multi-day or a multi-location event. Either one of those is what drives it to the 450 category. So Taste of the Beach, we would look at that when it comes through. If it's a single day event and it's at one location, then it would have a different fee schedule than the 450. There's a lower fee for that, so.
That's all.
On the, I have a question. On the chart that Ms. Miller gave us, it seems to indicate that several of the districts, they have 0 food or tent inspections. Is that means they don't inspect anything? Don't inspect the install of the original?
Yeah, so what I can say is
I'm appalled.
some of the districts I talk to, they may not be putting eyes on it. I'd hate to speak for the other districts specifically, but,
Trying not to either, but
right.
I find that hard to believe. Just that's, okay, it's enough. Thank you.
All right, so we're all in agreement that Chief Worst done the best job possible, and those are the fees we're going to continue to enforce. And he does it with the authority of the fee schedule which we approve and on the authority which we give him to do the job. So,
Right.
I don't think it needs to go any further at this point.
I agree.
Thank you. All right, next item, new business, trim rate.
Trim rates.
Yay.
Trim rates. So, Commissioners, as you know, we are in a tough time following the storm. We talked about it last meeting. Our latest numbers are that we are looking at a 40% reduction in our ad valorem revenue this year. We've talked about in past meetings that vacancies that we have frozen, along with reserves, will be our mechanism to bring you a balanced budget, but we are working with a 40% reduction. With that in mind, our trim rate currently sits at 2.9851, which is a trim rate that we had done a few years ago to try and work on the facility. We are building our budget on that trim rate, and from this point, we're setting a trim rate that can go down but cannot go up. So with that, we have the opportunity. As you know, our cap is 3 mills. We're very close to that. And you obviously can do what you'd like, but our recommendation at this point is that we maintain our current trim rate for the upcoming year.
Thank you. Commissioner Wood?
I support the 2.9851, and especially considering that will bring less revenue into the fire department, and we're negotiating with the town to build, or to work on the property, perhaps switching property, selling it, trying to build one station on the island, perhaps, hopefully, and headquarters off. And I think at this point, we can set the trim rate at 2.9851 and then go from there. So I support.
Commissioner Nickel?
So how many years have we had the 2.9851?
We're in our, currently 4 years in, Jane? 4 years, yes, sir.
So we're not raising taxes.
No, we're not, no.
Taxes are going to just stay the same. We would actually get less revenue because of the reduction in.
That's correct. So our 40% reduction is, obviously is accounting for buildings that have been lost, that were improved lands and now they're vacant. And then buildings in doing the review of all parcels, a building that is damaged or out of service, I believe, had some level of adjustment by the property appraiser as well. So
And we are operating 2 stations now instead of 3.
that's correct.
So we have had, while we're making a diligent effort not to reduce the level of safety and service, but we have kind of reduced down. I've had a lot of input from constituents that, well, there's only 400 people living on the island. Well, we take up more than just the island. In addition, we still have people down here every single day doing a lot of construction, and there are a lot of construction accidents occurring, as pursuant to the one that happened just yesterday here. So I think we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, and I think this trim rate is the right option for us, and I would continue supporting that. And we're not raising anybody's taxes here at this time.
That's great.
Commissioner Fleming?
I also support the current rate. 40% decrease is a lot. And if we didn't have the reserves we had, we'd really be in trouble. We're able to keep our employees employed as we should. We need them. Just because there's only 400 people doesn't mean that something bad could happen. We have to staff accordingly.
I'm also in agreement. I think it's our only option right now. As I said before, most of us as residents of the district are beaten, bruised, and poorer than we were 11 months ago. We're still struggling to maintain our own scenarios one-on-one, and the district is no different. We're a household, we're a business, however you want to label it, we're the same. So at this time, I'd make a motion to adopt the trim rate of 2.9851 for the next fiscal year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Ms. Lezak is not in attendance. All right, next item, setting the date for the tentative budget hearing.
Commissioner, this one's fairly straightforward. We looked to make sure that we weren't conflicting with any of the other government agencies. We also reached out to the library because I know they need the same facility to hold their meetings and stuff. So the recommended date for our tentative budget meeting of September 13th here at Diamond Head at 5:15 achieves our initiative of having that first of 2 budget meetings.
Does that date work for everybody else?
It's not a Friday, is it? Friday the 13th.
It is not a Friday.
It is a Wednesday, I believe.
All right, that's good.
Will we be having a regular meeting that night as well?
No,
Okay.
it'll be.
So just a budget hearing. All right, so motion to set the tentative budget hearing for September 13th, 2023 at 5:15 at Diamond Head Resort.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Moved and approved, thank you. Chief, remarks?
Thank you, Chairman. I want to start by saying that I appreciate Ms. Miller, Mr. Self for the meetings. We finished off that meeting, I thought, on a positive note. We all agree that the farmers markets are beneficial to the community. And I'm confident that based on their performance and history, I know they're diligent, and I know we'll get that done and, do everything we can to help them get that done. So we appreciate them. Also, I just want to say I'm very pleased with the collaboration that we're having with the town. Mr. Hyatt, town manager, as we're working through the properties, we're working on different things, tabletop exercises for upcoming events and things of that nature. Appreciate that relationship, and I'm pleased with the way the collaboration's gone between the agencies. That extends out to Lee County SO and the things they're participating in, and the county and everybody else. And then the last thing I have is, I say it every meeting, but I'm going to say it again, our crews are out there doing it. They're out there training themselves. Yesterday, when they had that critical call, by coincidence, we had our medical director in district, because she is out here often training with our folks. And you think of all the disciplines that are involved in fire and rescue, EMS, it's a constant lifelong learning and training and preparing. And our folks are just out there. As we knew they would, they're picking up different call types, more structure fires, more hazardous events, more traumatic injuries. And they're just showing that they're well prepared and they're up to the mission, and appreciate every one of them for everything they're doing. And to our admin staff and the people behind the scenes helping, everybody's doing more with less, and just the whole team's doing a great job. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question for the chief.
Yes, sir.
Is the district conducting an investigation into the incident that occurred yesterday as to causation and how that happened and all of that?
We will do a post-incident analysis of our performance. As far as the investigation of how it happened, I spoke with that Lee County Sheriff's Office this morning, and they're conducting that investigation along with OSHA. So those agencies are looking into how it happened and how do we prevent it from happening again.
Right, that's the key. I
Yes.
feel so bad for the family,
Yes,
and really for Diamond Head that it happened here.
absolutely.
And I just hope we can make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner remark, or actually, Attorney Salzman's here. Do you have any input, sir?
No remarks.
No remarks. Thank you. Thank you for your attendance today, as always. Commissioner remarks. Mr. Wood, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate our visitors and all the work that you put in to bring this information to us. And we certainly hope and pray that they go off safely and they're productive and lucrative for everyone involved. We certainly support. I love going to those, especially when they were at Santini Plaza, but that'll be a while, I think. Anyway, we wish you the best. And we're just trying to bring the district and the community back to its splendor. And that's all I have to say. And, congratulations to the new chief. We hope, as long as the contract is signed. But when would the contract be signed? Do we expect that at the
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
Next meeting? Okay.
Once you approve it, next meeting. Again, most of the terms will be the terms that we've looked at in the past. There might be some that we tweak just going forward, but you'll be familiar with most of the terms.
Great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Jim?
I likewise would like to congratulate the chief. I think you'll do a great job leading our district. Thank you. I would like to thank Ms. Miller. I do see the importance of these kinds of events in our community, and I think they help to build a community. And our community could use a little building right now. And I hope you understand our view on this in terms of safety and our responsibility to the people that live here as well as the people that come and visit here. I also want to thank I got a lot of email from people that were interested in this subject matter, and I want to thank, they're not here, but I would thank all of them for their input. I read every single word, and I took it all into consideration in total as to where we're at. And our job is to weigh and balance these matters and come to what we hope is the best decision for the community as a whole. So, thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Fleming?
I echo everything that's been said so far. I appreciate the farmers markets. I received several emails. I responded to each when I check my email. Again, the farmers markets, we need everything we can get at this point. I think our fees are fair. We have to inspect. Food trucks do blow up. I mean, it's a known fact. They just do. And people get hurt, killed. And hopefully that never happens here, but things do happen. Maybe there's only 400 people on the island, but I was in Publix yesterday at noon, and it was the first time there were more customers than employees. And 90% of them were wearing orange vests.
Yeah.
On my street alone today, there's a dozen trucks. I mean, unless you're on a bicycle, you can't get down my street right now. And all over the island. And as far as our staffing, there's going to be accidents. I mean, people are going to just step on nails or get electrocuted. I mean, it's a dangerous time to be here. You know, a lot's going to happen. But mostly important, I really want to congratulate Chief Worth on getting this job. At the beginning of this storm, you were on duty, I don't know, weeks, if not months, every day, all day. And it wasn't until he was off that I learned that his house had basically been destroyed just like everyone else's. Well, I never even thought of that because I know he didn't live right around here. I thought he was okay. But the storm didn't care where you lived. And for him to have the focus to do what needed to be done, which was basically operations, you know, taking care of everything and the coordination, while he and his family were displaced. That's just amazing that he could keep focused like that. I'm really looking forward to working with you and getting us back and better than what we were. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Still no Jackie?
Still no Jackie.
Okay. I guess I'll finish up. Almir, congratulations, Chief Worth. Very deserving of the job. I know you have it in you. I have complete confidence in the future of the district and where we're going with it. And our district members and residents should know that as well. It's going to be a bumpy future the next few years, but the future is very bright. And you know, we've all had the same feeling again in our personal lives that, you know, the first 10 months you're in that shock, and now we're developing that plan to keep moving forward and getting better and healing as an organization, as a community. I think we're going to be great there. My heart really goes out to the crews that responded yesterday. There is, as three of us sit here, former first responders, there is nothing harder than not being able to save somebody. It gets you. And I know we have those resources available for them to seek some discussion and time, and please encourage our crews to do so, because it's an important part of our mental health aspect of the folks who do the job. Thanks again for public comment, those who attended, our counterparts from South Trail that were so nice to show up today and watch us do our thing. We appreciate them as well. And I told them on the elevator that the hospitality they provided post-storm was tremendous and surely appreciated by all of us here in the district. With that being said, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.